By now, we are all aware of the WeWork story. We know how the company grew to become synonymous with co working spaces thanks to its network of lavish offices around the world, how these offices were once packed with young techies playing pool and sipping beer, and how eventually it all came crashing down. The company, once valued at $47 billion, was brought to its knees. But here in India, the WeWork story has been playing out drastically differently. The workspace provider's India business is thriving. In fact, it's currently prepping for an IPO. And it's managed to get to this point only because it is everything that its global sibling is not. While the US based business was known for breakneck expansion and growth, WeWork India took a more restrained and sustainable approach. More importantly, it realized somewhere down the line that it's better to ditch the frills and be a boring office space provider for all sorts of clients, not just the startup crowd. The pivot is now towards managed office spaces. These are customized workspaces built to meet the specific needs of a single client. For workspace providers, that means bagging long term clients. And for clients, it means a tailor made solution handled end to end by a single provider. The realization did not dawn on WeWork India overnight. In many ways, it was thrust upon it. It was only after a lot of its competitors ventured down this path and started seeing huge success that the company decided to give it a shot. It seemed to have recognized that diversification is the only way forward, especially with an IPO around the corner and the WeWork legacy weighing it down. But remember, the global company's fortunes are hardly linked to WeWork India Management Limited. Bangalore headquartered real estate developer Embassy Group controls around 75% of the company's shares and manages its operations. So the entire proceeds from the listing will go into the pockets of the shareholders, Embassy Group, and a minority investor affiliated with WeWork's global entity. What's interesting is that so far, WeWork India has really been dragging its feet on adopting the managed office space model. Real estate executives we spoke to explained that the reason for that is simple. WeWork already has a certain approach, a specific finish, and a fixed format. But the thing is, there is no time for dilly-dallying, especially because investors have a clear example of what WeWork could have been if it had made different choices. I'm talking about the relatively new, homegrown poster child for co-working spaces, Office. Welcome to Daybreak, a business podcast from the Ken. I'm your host Rahil Philippos, and I don't chase the news cycle. Instead, every day of the week, my colleague Snigdha Sharma and I will come to you with one business story that is worth understanding and worth your time. In the last year, WeWork India has really switched things up. While it wasn't open to much customization before that, 30% of the new capacity the company is adding now is dedicated to managed offices. Now, if you're a regular listener of this podcast, you may recall an episode we did last year on this industry wide shift to customized workspaces. It's been driving growth for a lot of companies in the co working business, including Office. In fact, today, 60% of Office's total seat capacity is taken up by managed offices. And like I said before, it's seen a fair bit of success. While WeWork's scale is larger, Office has a higher proportion of long-term customers, mainly because of its edge in the managed office segment. But the flip side of this particular kind of arrangement is that it tends to blur the lines between the job of a co-working operator and a typical commercial real estate business. For startups, co-working spaces offer flexibility in terms of how long they can commit and how many desks they need. But for WeWork, that translates into dealing with more customer churn, meaning customers may leave more frequently because they aren't tied to long-term commitments. Its average customer tenure starts at 23 months compared to Office's 33 months, which works in the favor of WeWork India's clients, but not necessarily for WeWork. That's largely because of its lease commitments. It typically signs on buildings anywhere from 3 to 5 years. But all things considered, at the face of it, things are looking good for WeWork India, at least on the retention side of things. It has managed to retain 73% of its customers in the 6 months ended September 2024. But 2 years ago, it was doing a much better job. Back then, it had a renewal rate of around 80%. And apart from retaining old clients, WeWork also needs to be bringing in new customers for it to grow. And in that department, the managed office service approach could be a game changer because it could mean high volume deals. An office executive explained to us that typically co-working clients go for about 10 to 30, maybe 50 seaters. But with managed office space clients, you're looking at 2,000, even 5,000 seats in one go. Clients pay more and they stay longer. Seems like a win-win, right? Except the trade-off here is that it'll make the office space operators more dependent on far fewer customers. That's not the only reason WeWork has been dragging its feet. More on that in the next segment.
Hi, Daybreak listener. I'm Snigdha, the co host of this podcast. Are you enjoying this episode so far? If you are, then could you please spare a few seconds to rate Daybreak on your preferred streaming platform, Apple or Spotify, and also please hit follow? We've been trying really hard to beat the algorithm gods, and a little help from you will really go a long way and help our podcast grow. Thank you in advance, and now back to Rahil.
One thing Office has cracked that WeWork is still figuring out is decoding a client's needs. An executive from Office explained how it is able to take care of everything from design to compliance for each of its clients in record time. And that's especially important when it comes to managed office spaces. Office's ability to tap into this business might partly explain why it has managed to outpace WeWork in growth. Based on its performance in the first 6 months of FY25, Office is projected to quadruple its revenue in this fiscal year compared to 3 years ago. WeWork's revenue, meanwhile, has only grown half as much in the same time frame. One thing to consider, of course, is that WeWork's top line is nearly twice that of Office's. But what will work in WeWork's favor is that it is not starting from square one. You see, typically, mature companies operating at a larger scale tend to take up managed office spaces. And in these cases, WeWork's global presence could give it a leg up when it comes to attracting these big-ticket clients. At the end of the day, it is a huge brand with a lot of pedigree. But that said, it does come with constraints. Take its geographical reach, for example. The embassy-backed company operates in just 8 cities, while Office is present in 18. Over 70% of WeWork's revenue comes just from Bangalore and Mumbai, and that share has only been increasing. WeWork is also in Office's crosshairs on the pricing front. After rolling out a premium offering, Office Gold, in 2020, the company took it up a notch by launching an even more exclusive brand, Office Elite, in the September quarter. While Office Gold is priced 15 to 25% higher than its more affordable flagship brand, Office Elite is 40 to 45% higher. And this tiered pricing model is just another indicator of Office's flexibility and its intent to offer something for everybody. Meanwhile, WeWork is and always has been a premium player that wants to remain premium. But now more than ever, as the pressure continues to dial up, it's perhaps time for the company to finally step out of its comfort zone.
Daybreak is produced from the newsroom of The Ken, India's first subscriber-focused business news platform. What you're listening to is just a small sample of our subscriber-only offerings. A full subscription unlocks daily long-form feature stories, newsletters, and podcast extras. Head to theken.com and click on the red subscribe button on the top of the website. Today's episode was hosted by Rahil Philippos and edited by Rajiv Cien.